Welcome everyone, this is Holy Grail and I bring you another video about how your favorite servant would fare in an actual Holy Grail War and what strategies you can use to maximize your chances at winning. For these videos, only servants that appear as playable in FGONA will be included. This means that any servant that has yet to appear in the NA server or servants that have appeared but are not playable yet will not be included. If you missed my previous video where I discuss about how good Paul Bunyan would be in a Holy Grail War, you can check that video right here. Without further delay, let's move on to the next servant. That's right, in this video I'll be talking about the personification of sex appeal that made two whole countries too frustrated about who she was actually working for that France just had to kill her off and then blame her for all of their incompetencies and failures. Mata Hari is a pretty mediocre servant in FGO, having non-existent damage and no survivability, as well as having a low success rate in her own niche, which is to charm enemies. Even in lore, Mata Hari is considered so weak that she pretty much has given up on ever winning a Holy Grail War. But would she really be that bad in a Holy Grail War? The answer may surprise you. Regarding Mata Hari's skills, she's a bit unusual. Despite being an assassin, she doesn't possess the class skill Presence Concealment, which is a pretty big deal for assassins. However, she does possess a personal skill that works as a substitute: Espionage. This skill allows Mata Hari to become harmless in the eyes of others. In other words, rather than removing her presence, she makes her presence feel as if she represents no danger, and others will feel like this against her until she finally strikes. Next skill, Pheromones, also aids in this ability to escape attention, as she's constantly releasing pheromones from her body that calm down others around her. This skill, despite in-game only working on males, actually works on both males and females alike, meaning that even if the enemy is female, Mata Hari will still be able to slip by their alertness. And finally, her last skill, Double Cross, which has no description. Okay, what is up with all of these servants that started off with only 2 skills? Like, if you have a theme of every servant has, I don't know, 3 skills in a game, why do you break that theme with a bunch of servants with only 2 skills and then add the third one later on with no description? Anyway, this skill is likely a reference to how Mata Hari was spying for 2 different countries against each other. As for what it does, in-game it steals an enemy's skill temporarily and reduces their defense. So I'll assume that it's a skill that temporarily removes someone's skill, but for her to seal it, she would have to know of the skill's existence. And finally, we have her stats, which are not even worth taking into consideration. We have to look at her not as a fighter against servants, but as an assassin of masters. As such, despite having abysmal stats, she's not out of the game yet. However, it is important to note that with such horrible stats, if she does at any point fight someone, she's just going to die, and that's about it. With all that said, this means that Mata Hari is a servant incapable of fighting, but that can make anything wet its pants and wag its tail like a degenerate just to get some action with her. She'll be slipping by both masters and servants' notice as just a harmless person, and once she's close enough, she can go for a strike. Just good luck if she misses. However, she does have a Noble Phantom that greatly changes how her plans go around. Her Noble Phantom is a brainwashing dance in which she will brainwash everyone who doesn't have some form of mental defense or mad enhancement. If they fail to resist her, they will become her puppets until the night is over. However, This noble phantom leaves no evidence behind, meaning that it can be used multiple times on the same person, each time used, its effect growing stronger. So, Matahari can slip by unnoticed. Even if noticed, she won't be considered a threat, and once she's close enough, she can brainwash others into becoming puppets. So, with that said, if you were in a Holy Grail War and you summoned Matahari, would you be well off or dead on arrival? Oh boy. You are in for a rude awakening. Matahari on paper sounds absolutely broken. I mean, sneak into a person's house, even if you're noticed, they won't find you strange, and then even make them into a puppet to do your bidding? How could that possibly not be broken? Well, the problem is that it's a mental attack. On a regular person walking down the street, yes, she will have no issues whatsoever. But against a magus fully prepared for a war, Matahari's noble phantom will have a ridiculously low chance of ever working on them, as they'll have God knows how many protections against mental interference. You're better off using your own servants, as they are less likely of having any mental protection skills. But even if she uses it on servants and you try to turn them on their masters, the masters can just use their command spell to regain control, after which there's very little the Matahari can actually do. So, what strategies could you use to better help you win the Holy Grail War? Well, there's one thing that Matahari is really good at doing: scouting and spying. Information is the most valuable weapon in any war. Matahari can easily enter other masters' personal space without being considered strange and getting as much information out of them as possible. With this, your plan should be to remain at low status and avoid any form of confrontation. So long as there's no servant who's really good at snooping around, you should be able to spy on all other masters without issues. After that, your best bet would be probably to find the most likely master to win and stick to them like glue, slowly gaining their trust until they finally drop their guard and they end up in Matahari's hand. After which, as long as Matahari keeps using her noble phantom each day, you should have a clear victory. As easy as this may sound, remember that this plan would essentially leave you at the mercy of Matahari, and that you would probably be clueless as to what was actually happening in the war, since while Matahari will be ignored, the same can't be said about you. Might as well not even be participating at that point, as it would all be Matahari's work from the get-go. Another plan would be to have Matahari charm enemy servants while the masters aren't looking, and then ordering them to kill the masters. Since the masters would not be aware of what was happening, they would not be expecting their servants to come in and kill them. Although, how you would get to the servants without the masters noticing is a whole different story. You would probably need Matahari to do some spying first so that you could get some information. As for Matahari's personality, she has a mother complex, meaning that she would be treating everyone regardless of age and gender as her child, and in general, she prefers good people rather than people who hide behind their own weakness. So, in general, you should be good to go with her. So, what's the verdict? Well, she's actually not as terrible as she proclaims to be. While she is probably the weakest servant in combat, even when against masters, her true power comes from her information gathering and ability to be neglected by others, meaning that if she is by herself, you can expect her to be able to go unnoticed as an assassin throughout the entire Holy Grail War. That said, it's important to note that some servants will still be able to see through her, and others might still just attack her even if they find her harmless. So Matahari, I'm gonna have to give her a D. As much as she is good at gathering information, she does face one big problem. All information, at the end of the day, needs to be acted upon. Meaning that, yes, she can gather a lot of information, but she will be dependent on what you, the master, can do with that information. If you're a master plan, then Matahari's pretty good. But if you're not really that smart or not into making plans, then she's just useless. She can't fight, and the information she gathers is pointless. Yes, you can kinda maybe sometimes charm a master who did a mistake, but if your plan is dependent on the enemy making a mistake, then it's a bad plan to begin with. When you make a plan, you have to account for the worst situations, and that means, for example, the master's never making a mistake, which then means Matahari can only gather information and a Noble Phantom will be useless. That concludes for this video. Next one should be up in a few days, and I'll be talking about the Savior of France. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any video, and to like if you enjoyed. Also leave any comment if you agree or disagree with me, or if you find that I forgot anything. Until the next video. Bye!